Girl A by Abigail Dean, published by HarperCollins, and it's said broadly across England. Just look at the quotes. It says, utterly unputdownable and insanely gripping, says Marion Keyes. Believe the hype, says Kate Lowe. And so powerful, says Andrew Wilson. A couple of decades ago, I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I felt that dark storytelling went up a notch at that point. And I think the same can be said for Girl A. I mean, I've seen it around Twitter, on social media, and therefore I was delighted to get an advanced reader copy of this book. The cover you will actually look for in a shop will look more like this. And yes, this has a dark heart. It is about a family of several siblings, Gracie family, who live in a house where they are kept prisoner by their parents, mainly their father, who is the abusive one, but also by their collusive mother, who just seems to pop out one baby after another, and they are then added to the family structure. Now, we know that there have been stories in the newspaper. Joseph Fritzl in Austria, sired several children with one of his children. And there have been several stories in the States about abusive family setups. So this is a very interesting take on that phenomenon. Yes, it is shocking. Yes, your heart goes out to the children. But actually there is such a strength in Girl A, who is Alexandra Lex, that you get carried along by her story. The story essentially now is told from Girl A, Lex's point of view in the now, and she reflects and goes back to periods in their collective childhood. She is having to approach each sibling, and they are not all in contact for very obvious reasons, because they had different dynamics within the family. And she has to look after the legacy of their family house. The mother has died, and she has to get the signature of each of the children so that they can turn it into a power for good. They want to turn it into a community centre, and that seems like the most equitable solution. So she is going back in time and reacquainting herself with her siblings, and that is traumatic, it's enlightening, and it's quite thought-provoking. The structure of the book is quite unusual. It's almost like it slides around between past and present, and it's a little bit discombobulating because sometimes you have to really kind of clock, what part of the story am I in. But it's not difficult read. I like to have my books where everything's clearly set out, and therefore I surprised myself because I could go with the flow of this book, which was excellent. But I think it reflects the nature of the thinking of the children, who from almost 1 second, 1 hour to the next didn't quite know how their lives might change or what influence the father will have. So I think the structure reflects the experience of the children in the book, and that kind of adds to the pathos of the whole storyline. The setting of the book is very clearly England. The House of Horrors was up in the northwest somewhere. There is an outing to Blackpool, and Lex spends quite a lot of time in London, in Soho, and she stays at Romilly House, which I presume is based on the Kettner, a very nice upmarket hotel that's recently been refurbished. But I think in a way the strength of the story kind of is the absolute thing you would go for in this book. Setting is just very, very secondary. So I think if you want a challenging, immersive read, then I think Girl A is really one to pick up.